Hello, everybody. It's Tyche Talks again. I'm super excited to be here with an amazing guest. So just so you guys know ahead of time, sorry, because a lot of you know the beautiful flowers are out, so there's lots and lots of pollen in the air, and you can hear it in my voice. So, so I'm super excited about today. Just for those who are new to the show, it is an interview show where I talk to experts across many fields. If you have a topic you would like to have discussed, let me know. Shoot me a message, a DM, and we'll get on it. So today we have an amazing guest speaker. It's Ivana Ivanek. Today we're going to talk about breaking free from opinion paralysis and finding your voice. So thank you for joining us, Ivana. Yeah, let me get a round of applause.
I am stoked to be here, Lauren.
Thanks. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Ivana. She's on a mission to prove that anything is achievable as long as you set your mind to it. After hitting rock bottom in her early 20s, Ivana embarked on a transformative self-development journey. Through a decade of observing and connecting with people, she discovered a sad truth. Fear of rejection and isolation is the hidden reason holding most of us back from chasing our dreams. Ivana's coaching empowers you to understand the core dynamics of society and your unique place within it. With this newfound clarity, you'll be unstoppable, moving forward with ease and confidence and creating the life you desire. Who doesn't want that? I'd want that. That's why I'm talking to her today in my very sexy Demi Moore. Thank you. Welcome again.
Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. Who doesn't want that? Exactly. Who doesn't want the life that comes with these to us, where we are having fun and joy? Let's be real. We can't take out adversity because life happens no matter what we do. But there is so much more to life than overthinking what other people might think of us if we move in the direction we desire. We're going to talk about this today. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I was so stoked to you agree to come on this show. So let's table set here. So is opinion paralysis the same as analysis paralysis? And if it's not, how is it different?
So I've been looking at these terms, right? In the internet, opinion paralysis on its own doesn't really exist as such. There is no meaning to it. There is nobody who has been describing it yet. How I describe it is the fear of people's opinions, right? Opinions that paralyzes us in our doing, opinions that
We have a guest, sorry.
Hello.
Yes, yeah, sorry.
So it's
He
opinions.
ran in from out. This is my youngest twin, Jonathan. He'll be heading out soon, but please continue.
Yeah, so it is not the paralysis because we have so much choice and therefore cannot choose, right? Mm-hmm. It's the paralysis that comes externally that actually keeps us from moving. Mm-hmm. And now people would say that's confidence, Ivana, right? Because we like to say, I'm not confident to look for a new job. I'm not confident enough to start a new business. I'm not confident enough to divorce my husband, who I can't see any longer. I am not confident. I'm not confident. But when we look at confidence, right, we need to understand that confidence fluctuates. Confidence is depending on what you do and how often you do it, but it's about developing a skill set, practice, action, so we can become confident in a field. So just to give you an example, you probably know, like before you had kids, Lauren, you were not confident with children. Now that you are raising your children, you become more confident as a mother. And this is simply how it works in every area of life. The question should be more, why do we say we are not confident? Because if it's only about building a skill set and only about taking action, what is keeping us from doing so? Even if the dream is so big, because we all have desires, that's proven. deep within, we all want something more. We want different. So the question is, what's keeping us from learning that skill set? What's keeping us from building that confidence? And that's the fear, what people might think of us. What if we fail? What if we succeed? What if we step out of the norm, right? And this has a this comes from culture. This comes from our upbringing. This comes from externally imposed structures and society, from school. Wherever we got this from, it's not all on us. Does it make sense?
Both my dog and child is being chased out by my mother, so it's a crowded room. But life happens. This is how you know it's real life. This is truly life when you have a 2-year-old crash the party, and also a 3-year-old dog. So yes, it totally makes sense. But can you give us, you gave one example. It's actually for me, it was the opposite. I was like, I felt really confident of being around kids. Now I'm a mom and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Nobody knows, not just with kids.
Nobody knows what they're doing.
I don't have children, but I have many friends with children. Nobody knows. And do we really know what we are doing in general in life? And do we have to know? That's the question.
So can you give some examples, some specific examples where opinion paralysis holds people back and how they can overcome that?
Oh, absolutely. Let's, when we grow up, right? And then it doesn't matter where we come from geographically, right? What religion. We learn in a way, and especially women, if we now look at a big macro level, right? We know that people with disabilities, people of color, women, and people with different gender identity were always being taken away from their power. So the rich white man is always basically on the highest of the social ladder. I'm happy to see movement in the other direction. However, it doesn't always mean just because we have resources available today that we can use them guilt-free, right? So now knowing, and I like to give this example, that when we are looking at careers, looking back in other generations, like my parents, I'm 36 now, so my parents are in their early 60s. There, I can imagine we didn't have the opportunities like we have today, right? Because we have now with the pandemic bringing in remote work, bringing in movements where we are not forced to stay in a job. Though I would like to question the past as well, because I was just thinking today, why shouldn't back in the days a baker shouldn't be able to become a musician? I just lift that up for discussion, right? Because I mean, yes, every choice comes with consequences. Everything we decide to do in our future comes with consequences, right? So now knowing that and knowing where we come from and now seeing all the resources and opportunities and looking at the career and be like, okay, I, as a woman, earn an example. I earn already good money, but I want more because I know personally I can. And I know there are opportunities and resources out there so I can pursue my dream, whatever money means to someone, right? We want to make more cash, that's okay. But then comes the guilt. Why would I need more money? What are gonna people think of me? They're probably gonna think I'm greedy because I have never enough.
Yeah.
Because we were taught to be thankful, full of gratitude, right? To be the good girl, so to say, or the good boy, even to put it, to not to make it gender specific. So in careers, it can go even both ways. So if someone wants more money, then you are greedy. But if you want to drop your 6-7 figure career, then you are unthankful for what your parents have done for you because they have provided you for university, etc. And you are throwing away everything you worked so hard for. Is that something you want to hear if you pursue your dream? It's not.
Yeah. No.
It's not. But this is what we hear, because this is how society as a structure functions, right? Because there is a norm, and luckily there is some guidance, and otherwise we would be even more lost as we are today. Anyway, right? So there is this guidance, but everything that is a little bit outside of the norm is either too risky, too dangerous, too greedy, inappropriate, perhaps, right? And this is what scares us, because by nature, we want to belong. Back in the days, like when we were hunters, we needed to belong in our tribe because we wouldn't survive alone in the wilderness. If you get, if they would have said, sorry, Lauren, but you were not a good girl today, we are leaving you behind, we are moving onwards without you, you probably wouldn't have survived. I wouldn't have survived. However, today we can survive. What stayed is the sense or the need of belonging, which is nothing wrong, but we gotta choose to who, or we can't choose to who we want to belong. So we gotta go places where people's reality is basically our dream. So we can see it works, and not those places where we are judged, or perhaps not even intentionally judged, but sometimes people just say phrases. People just say things without thinking even what they might do to us.
So what can you do? I guess this is a twofold question. What can you do when you're receiving those intentional or unintentional negative feedback? But like you said, oh, you're wasting all the time you spent on this career, your education. And the flip side is when someone's telling us that they're daring to do something that they've longed to, what kind of energy can you put out to kind of counter that
Yeah.
vibe?
There is one thing we need to understand. There are two sides to it, because it was the neuroscientist Dr. Mark Leary, if I'm pronouncing him right, who was researching the fear of rejection, right? So what happened throughout the as we humans evolved, we created a monitoring mechanism. So we called confidence as the monitoring mechanism of the quality of our relationship. So it's not only about us, but it's also like how we are perceived and how we interact with each other. So this is the part I mentioned before, it's belonging, right? So if I tell you, Lauren, today, your hair looks amazing, you'll be like, oh my God, thank you, right? And your confidence goes like way, increases. If I tell you, sorry, I didn't like what you said earlier, you hurt me, then your confidence might decrease temporarily. And then it's your choice how you react, right? In an ideal case, we would pause, reflect, and react. We would answer. And in an ideal case, usually we react first and pause later, right? We always have to have this conversation twice because it gets emotional. And so, and then you have the choice. Is this relationship, does this mean something to me? Then I would like to improve that. I would like to apologize. I would like to ask how to do it better. And you put the emphasis on a communication because you received constructive criticism, something you can work with. If someone tells me you hurt me with your words, I'll say, I'm sorry, I'll try not to use those words. How can I express myself so you can understand me better the next time, or whatever it is in the situation? There is another side to that story. There are those opinions and phrases and things we get to hear where we can't do nothing about it, whether they are then intentionally here to hurt us or not. If, just to give you an example, if you say, I'm starting an online business, someone who can't relate to it will go like, well, I wouldn't do that. And then it's like, you instantly go either, it gives you the feeling of, am I the idiot right here? Or it gives you the urge to explain yourself, to convince, right? And this is the toxic part, right? So let's not mix that up with relationships and interactions. We have meaningful interactions with constructive criticism we can work with. But it's those things we hear, you'll be like, what I'm supposed to do with that? And the best thing is, I spoke about culture, upbringing, I spoke about school, society. The best thing is, what we can do is to focus on us, because we cannot blame what has happened, the past. We can only look inwards and take the responsibility for an outcome, which is for a better outcome for us, right? A pause. And what else we can do is not to try to react immediately. Now, this is not the easiest task to, right? I mean, because it hurts, it stings, right? When you get a comment like, why would you like to earn more money again? Especially women, if they pursue careers. Are you crazy to leave your well-paid job? You should be lucky to have it. That hurts. That stings and it sits. And if we don't give it space and try to ignore it, it gets bigger. It gets bigger within us. And then we are alone with that. So what we can do here is allow it. We don't have to answer immediately. We can always seek a conversation later because we will not be able to change other people's opinions.
Mm.
And you can go and be like, yes, I am hurt. Yes. You can talk to yourself. Yes, this was painful. I dislike this person for it. And then once the anger is out, just ask yourself the simple question: does this apply to me? Right here, right now. Is this real? And with nothing comes easy, I would say. With practice, these things become more and more easier. And there's much more we can do. But now I think I would be talking, I could talk about this for hours. I'll spare you today.
Yeah, one of the things when I tell people, oh, this is my goal, and I tend to think very big goals, and I
I
get
love that.
less than positive feedback. The thing that I ask myself, and usually ask them is, okay, so what is that based on? So asking myself, all right, what are they basing that on? Is that are they based on their actual experience or facts, or are they basing it on their own fears, their own self-constricting fears? And getting some feedback from them was like, what is that based on? Finding out, because you may assume it's one thing, but it might be something totally different. But I always, that's one of the first things I do with a lot of situations that involve feelings is, okay, well, let me take a step back. Like you said, think about it. It's like, well, what is that based on? Because a lot of times people want to refrain you from achieving your goals because they're afraid. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's them.
It's
They're limiting
yeah, it's
themselves. And so,
often people react how they want to see us in their world. And that can
yes.
have many, 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 many reasons. That can be envy. That can
Mhm.
be a matter of, because if you have never reached big goals are scary for you. Now, if someone goes like, what's wrong with Lauren? She's going mad. She's setting herself up for failure, which is kind of true, right? But failure for you probably is learning and opportunities. For someone who is afraid of failure and really scared to death, that would be like, how are we going to protect her from doing so?
Yeah.
Right. And this is oft well meant, but not very supportive. So we need, I think, understanding the opposite and seeing like what they are mirroring at us, right? We can do this judgment free, by the way. It's not about, putting other people down by saying, oh, you're doing this and you're doing that. We can keep this for ourselves. It's just for our personal understanding that nothing is wrong with us. Every one of us, every one single of us has a hidden potential. Like if I would have the chance to dig in every person to have conversations, we could dig up a lot because this potential is there. And if you have the desire to pursue it, it doesn't come from anywhere. It's not like one day you woke up and you be like, oh, great, I'm so bored, I'm going to build a business. No one ever says that.
Yeah. I was reading something, and stay with me, it's relevant. And they were talking about uh, high achieving adults who are afraid of failure. And he said one of the reasons is because as children, they were celebrated for achievement. And sometimes they're even punished for not for failing. That really what should be emphasized is effort and learning the lessons. So then there isn't that fear of, oh, I'm not going to succeed. That's like, well, yeah, you're not going to succeed because you didn't even try. So that's one of the things I think about with my kids because you want a healthy amount of fear. Like maybe you shouldn't jump off the roof of that house, but not necessarily when it comes to goals and that kind of thing. So it's like think about what you can learn. Like what's the worst? And this is one of the things I always tell my client, what's the worst that could happen? Like seriously, what is the absolute worst that can happen? And then how likely is that to happen? It's
Mm-hmm.
usually very small. But so I do have one final question for you. So well, I guess two final questions. The second to last question. What are some resources and recommendations that you have for people who want to learn more about this and overcome this or
Mm-hmm.
opinion paralysis?
Absolutely. So there is two things to community, right?
Mhm.
First of all, what I mentioned before, go places where people are already living your dream, where your dream is people's reality. This is truly inspiring, and it gives you less of the feeling of being weird, because you're going to be sit amongst weirdos and be like, wow, that's a good thing to be a weirdo. Okay, I'm just drawing words that we often hear, right? If we dance on Instagram, right? And
Yeah.
style and whatever. See, this appears funny to people. I get that. And that's okay. And we need also to be able open about it and be like, yeah, I got an important appointment today on LinkedIn Live with Lauren Young Durbin. I mean, who understands that, right? But I prepared for this. I made my hair. So it's not, we are not here to change that, but to go where people do these things, where they are not weird, it's already a big thing. And yeah, the other thing is, the other part of community is talk about it. Talk about those weird feelings in those communities where people are open to hear it. It doesn't always need to be expert sides, right? It can be a community of like-minded people who are afraid of judgment, of rejection, of being isolated or no longer belonging to their families, right?
Mhm.
I recently interviewed someone on my podcast, and she said, my father said, if you leave the country, you no longer belong to our family. That was in
Wow.
an emotional moment. But can you imagine what it does to you? So being able to share this, because words can set things in motion, and
Mhm.
it's healing. We heal in community. This is what we can do today to build our tribe, to go places where this is. Another thing is to, whenever this ugly feeling occurs, locate it. Is it in your throat that your voice is like, you can almost pick up when you hear that? Is it like a stomach cramp that hurts, where it gets so that you can barely sit straight? Is it your belly that gets uncomfortable and you think you're gonna run to the toilet, or you're not gonna make the talk, or you're not gonna make the conversation, or not a meeting because you're afraid? Locate that, and whenever it appears, breathe into it. You don't have to be a breathwork specialist, facilitator, whatever it is. Breathe deeply in and out. Put those feet on the ground. Look around in the room. Name 10 things. These are little tiny tools that regulate our nervous system for a short moment, that are often forgotten or so
Yes.
undervalued. Because
Mhm.
what we learn, as you mentioned before, in our performance-based community or society is push through, do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. The thing is, yes, up to a point we can do that. But the moment where it gets so uncomfortable that it becomes somatic, meaning that we feel it in our bodies, it becomes daunting. And in the
Yeah.
long run, it will make you put your dream on the shelf. It will make you give up, because we can only bear up to a level. The levels are different, they variate.
Right.
Everybody has probably experienced that. Every time we'd be like, I'm gonna go for it, and the second one would be like, no, maybe not, right? This is when you reached your nervous system being overwhelmed, and we're gonna work with simple tools that are available to you immediately. Everybody can put their feet on the ground, take off their shoes, and breathe to reduce that. And I'm telling you, with practice, you will be able to immediately step back into your power and potential. Do it 100 times, trust the process, and you will see. I guarantee you. These are
100
tools.
times.
Yes, 100 times. I mean, first we need to trust that when we breathe, something happens. Then we need to learn to do it, because it's always like, when you're in discomfort, putting in effort is not easy. And I'm bringing in here the awareness. You are normal if you feel that. It's not easy.
Yes.
And everybody who has their practices ready and be like, I do this and it works immediately, they've been practicing. It's nothing that, it's some kind of a magic pill or somebody has better, yes, better skill sets in the end, because it comes down to practice.
Yeah,
This is what
you have to
everybody's
build
doing.
that. People generally aren't, they don't have, they might have talents, natural talents, but skills are something that you learn and improve. So, so I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And where can people find you if they want to get help and build up their internal resilience and confidence and deep opinion paralysis?
Yeah, absolutely. So I hang out on Instagram. That's where I like to be. You can find me under Ivana Ivanek. And I have a podcast, Fabulous by Design. It's available Spotify, Apple Podcast, where I speak about these topics, where I'm bringing in stories from people from all over the world that are not sugar-coated. We speak about the real stuff in life, where people have breakthrough big changes, either because they hit rock bottom, which is most of the times, because we only get, only when we are fed up, we can, but really fed up, when the pain, when it hurts so much, then we will make a change. Where people have been through unexpected tragedies and took a different turn on their journey. I created this podcast to empower and to show you that things are possible beyond our imagination. So even beyond your bigger vision.
I love it. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And next Tuesday, June 4th, at our regular time, 3 o'clock, we're gonna have career advice for immigrants and first generation women with Anna Lokamy, sorry. And hopefully my voice will come back by then, so it won't be so dreadful for
I would love
everyone.
this for you, Lauren. I would love this for
Me
you.
too, especially because I'm gonna be talking to you on Friday.
I'm excited
So
for this conversation.
I am too. I'm super excited about it. So everyone, be sure to follow her on Instagram and check out Fabulous by Design, her podcast, name your podcast, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so I'm so excited to have you. Hopefully you'll come back and we can talk more about it, because I want to hear your backstory. I love hearing people's backstories. I meant to ask you that earlier. But so everyone, we'll see you next Tuesday at 3 o'clock to get career advice that's directed towards immigrants and first generation women. I'll see you then.